Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally plagues all of us, students and professionals alike. We're talking about building permanent, unshakable academic discipline. If you have ever found yourself just staring blankly at a wall instead of reading your textbook, well, this one is absolutely for you. And the best part? We aren't going to talk about grinding it out or forcing yourself to focus. Instead, we're looking at the literal science of space. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to explore how we can actively manipulate our physical environment to make studying and deep work feel completely automatic rather than feeling like a chore.
So how exactly do we build permanent academic discipline? For years, society has basically told us that succeeding academically is entirely about willpower. We beat ourselves up thinking, oh, I just don't have the drive or I don't have the grit to succeed. But the research we're unpacking today completely shifts that narrative. It turns out it's not about a lack of willpower at all. Instead, building discipline is actually a mechanical architectural equation. It's really about designing a space that does the heavy lifting for your brain.
Section 1, the power of environment. Let's get right into it. The foundation of our explainer today revolves around one core concept, and that is environmental design. This means utilizing structured surroundings to establish consistent homework habits and ultimately train the brain to associate a very specific location with productivity. Think of it as engineering your space for success. Having this definition gives us a concrete scientific anchor for everything else we're going to discuss today. You see, you aren't just cleaning your room or finding a quiet little spot in the library. You are deliberately engaging in environmental design to literally program your brain's operating system. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it simplifies a massive psychological idea into one highly actionable equation. A dedicated workspace acts as a physical trigger. When you establish a specific desk or, hey, even just a particular chair that is exclusively for studying, that space fundamentally transforms. You no longer have to consciously convince yourself to start working. The environment itself initiates the academic task. It acts like a switch, automatically flipping your brain into focus mode simply because your body entered that specific dedicated space. All right, let's move on to Section 2, the behavioral framework. Because having a dedicated space is really just the beginning. Let's walk through a specific case study from the source material, our math book example, to sequence the exact progression of this habit loop. Step 1 is the cue, sitting at the exact same desk daily. Notice that the cue isn't a specific time of day or a feeling, it's a physical action tied directly to our environment. Step 2 is the routine, opening your math book and actually doing the work. And finally, step 3 is the reward. It's that profound sense of calm you get from finally being finished. This 3-step loop is the absolute engine of habit formation. By explicitly defining the cue, the routine, and the reward, you create a self-sustaining cycle of pure productivity. So the crucial point is summarized perfectly in this quote straight from our research. By sitting at the same desk at the same time, the location becomes the cue. Maintaining a repetitive routine in the exact same location essentially bypasses your conscious decision-making process entirely. You are quite literally training your brain automatically. You aren't deciding to study. The desk is telling you it's time to study. That consistency turns a simple geographic location into an undeniable psychological command. Which brings us to Section 3, the biological payoff. Let's shift our focus for a second to what happens internally. When you finally close that math book, it isn't just a metaphorical weight being lifted off your shoulders. You are actually experiencing a very real, incredibly powerful biological event. Finishing your work triggers a biological sense of calm and profound satisfaction. And that calm has a name, serotonin. Your brain actively rewards your hard work by releasing it. This right here is the biological glue of the entire system. Your brain remembers that sitting at that dedicated desk led to finishing the math book, which then led to this incredible, glowing feeling of peace. It makes your brain unconsciously crave repeating that entire process again tomorrow. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate dynamic at play here, the relationship between our external and internal environments. On the left side, we have our structured surroundings, right? The desk, the study zone, the physical triggers we built. And then on the right side, we have our internal biological feedback loops, the serotonin, the calm, the deep satisfaction. By intentionally manipulating our external environment, we are directly controlling our internal chemical feedback loops. You are essentially hacking your own neurochemistry using absolutely nothing but furniture and geography. Moving into our final segment, Section 4, long-term academic discipline. Let's zoom out to see the big picture here.
The ultimate long-term result of repeating this specific habit loop over weeks, months, and even years. First, a physical trigger, like your meticulously chosen workspace, initiates the task effortlessly. Second, engaging in a repetitive routine at that desk actively trains the brain, completely removing the friction of getting started. Third, the psychological reward of serotonin-driven calm permanently cements the habit. And the grand result of this continuous, flowing loop? Long-term academic discipline. You have successfully transformed what used to be a grueling daily test of your willpower into a smooth, automatic system. Your structured surroundings are now entirely facilitating your discipline.
Which brings us to the most important question for you to answer. What dedicated workspace will you design for yourself today? Think about it. You now have the architectural blueprint. You know the science of the cue, the routine, and the reward. You know that relying on willpower is a losing game, but leveraging your environment, that is a guaranteed win. So look around your room, your home, or your local library right now. Where is your physical trigger waiting to be built? Empower yourself to take immediate action on this. Go design your study zone and let your environment do the hard work for you. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what you build.